Who are the superheroes that can end any and all threats? The superheroes that for them no feat is too great. Join me today and find out as we count down the top 10 beyond Omega level superheroes. These are heroes that are somehow above God tier level. Is that even possible? Number 10. Iron God. So what does Beyond Omega mean in regards to this list? Well, Omega is typically a term reserved for Marvel's mutants, and it's used to classify the awesome level of their powers. To be Omega in a mutant sense means that you are basically the most powerful mutant within that specific power set and type. Here we're kind of using that term more to discuss just some of the most unstoppable God tier level heroes and beyond who could do just about anything. Like Tony Stark, surprisingly. That's right, even Tony Stark got a God tier power up when he became Iron God. Who is Iron God? It's basically Iron Man imbued with the power cosmic. Using his newfound power, Tony, who is also struggling with his longtime God complex, decided to use his newfound power to make all of NYC as smart as he was. Except for Reed Richards, who believed he was actually made somewhat less intelligent due to this change. Typical Reed. He's like, not me though. Tony, I'm definitely smarter than you, so this didn't help me. Number 9. Sentry. Sentry is the greatest hero that Earth forgot. In the Marvel universe, he is basically like DC Superman, but quite a bit more messed up when it comes to his origins and at times his approach to fighting baddies. In fact, Sentry himself isn't just one of Earth's greatest and most powerful heroes, he's also one of its worst villains, as residing within him is also the persona of the Void. The Void is the reason the whole world basically had to forget that Bob Reynolds was the hero known as the Sentry. And forgetting who the Sentry was, he disappeared, and with him so did his alter ego, the most villainous and deadly Void. Sentry managed to rip Ares in half, he's so powerful and violent. In fact, he ripped a lot of people in half. That's kind of his thing. Although he did also suffer some payback when Null, during the King in Black event, killed him by ripping him in half in kind. What can I say? Karma comes for us all in the end. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it where we talk about some of the most powerful of the most powerful, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Sersi. Sersi is literally one of the most underutilized characters when it comes to Marvel in my mind. Overall, I kind of just think the Eternals deserve some more hype. I mean, Kieran Gillen is doing a fantastic job of hyping them currently, but there were a few years there where they were just dead. Literally, they were dead. Sersi as an Eternal has powers that allow her to not only control every atom of her body, but also allow her to control all matter around her as well. And she's also quite charming, a dangerous combination. At one point she uses her powers to completely disable Iron Man in the current Eternal series while having lunch with Tony Stark. And guess what? Iron Man remains powerless to stop her. It probably helps that he feels safe enough around Sersi to not need to have his guard up when he's going to lunch with her, but still, the effortlessness demonstrated by Sersi here is impressive. While Sersi struggled in the MCU to defeat Tiamat alone, even there her powers proved to be essential to ultimately winning the day, with the help of course of her connection and the other Eternals' connection to the Unimind. The Unimind fixes all I don't got enough power problems. At least I think Sersi and Tony Stark were having lunch in that Eternals issue, by the way. That's Eternals issue number 5, by the way, if you're looking for it. It's lunch or it's brunch. Maybe it's brunch. Does seem like a very Sersi meal to have. Number 7. The Flash. Barry Allen's The Flash was literally so powerful that he was able to alter the entirety of reality when he went back in time to save his mother. In doing so, he also kind of broke reality and it was up to him to set things right, which he inevitably eventually did. He was also the only one powerful enough to defeat the Anti-Monitor's plot to destroy realities using his reality decimating machine. But he seemingly had to give up his life in the process. And unfortunately, this didn't defeat Anti-Monitor in the long run, but he did destroy the machine, and that was pretty challenging in and of itself. Wally West, on the other hand, who is our current Flash, doesn't really have any flashy, pardon my pun, stories quite like those. But this is mainly because Wally's Flash actually tries not to do things that would mess up the timeline in the first place. Sorry, Barry. Which maybe makes him even more powerful. He's also faster, so I think we can consider both these Flashes super overpowered and at God level or beyond when it comes to their Speed Force abilities. Number 6. Binary. Binary is one of Captain Marvel's aka Carol Danvers' alternate forms. As Binary, Carol was basically basically raw untamed energy, similar to that of a white hole, which is theoretically like the opposite of a black hole cosmically speaking. If you haven't heard about it, check it out. There's some pretty cool theories about white holes online. And to this day, she still taps into some of her binary power every now and then, as needed. The version of her in the MCU that basically looks like she's gone God mode, with glowing eyes, glowing hair, just glowing all over, that is basically the vibe that you get from Binary. And if you're a fan of Carol's Binary days, we have some good news for you. Binary will actually be returning in Kelly Thompson's current Captain Marvel run. It's been revealed that Binary will show up in issue 38 in May 2022. But this new Binary apparently is like a separate entity from Carol and also has a pretty great and subtle new redesign that still pays great tribute to the original and to Carol. So if you want more of this powerhouse character, who might also be spinning off into like her own entity, be sure to check that out. I think that's super cool. Every time I hear something about what's going on in the Captain Marvel comic, I'm like, I need to read that. That sounds good. I do like my Captain Marvel comics. Number 5. White Lantern. There have been a lot of powerful Green Lanterns and other lanterns with colors from the emotional spectrum, but one of the most powerful types of lanterns out there is probably the White Lantern. And one of the most powerful White Lanterns that we've seen in comic book continuity has to be Kyle Rayner. White Lanterns in general are rare, as you have to be able to harness and represent all colors of the spectrum, as it is when you combine those that in theory you get that bright white light. White Lantern, you know? That's how light works. Kyle ended up being the most all-around powerful Green Lantern when he proved that he was capable of becoming a White Lantern. He used his powers to save the world, and in the end was also smart and strong enough to give up the powers of the White Lantern, knowing that it was basically too much power to just like wield on the daily. And that to me is like one of the strongest things you can do. If you like have a ton of power, like Wolverine has also done that before, you get so much power and then you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave this here for another time. I don't need it all the time. That's powerful. Number 4. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is definitely one of the most powerful heroes around when it comes to the Marvel Universe. Sure, he did just die, but that's really only because he was fine with dying and knew that if he remained on Earth, it would inevitably mess up a lot of stuff. But he could have returned from death if he'd really wanted to, so just want to put that out there. That's just how powerful he is. In the What If Disney Plus streaming series, we also learned just how terrifying Doctor Strange could be if he put his mind to it when he became obsessed with gaining enough power to bring back his love Christine Palmer from death. He succeeded, but also ended up destroying the world as a result. But also, that's pretty weirdly and quite tragically OP. Number 3. Divinity. Divinity is actually from Valiant Comics instead of being from either DC or Marvel, the two big publishers of the North American comic book world. Remember Bloodshot with Vin Diesel? Bloodshot is also from Valiant Comics. Ho-ho! Divinity himself is Abram Adams, a Russian cosmonaut who was in essence granted godlike powers during a trip to space. He returned to Earth and understanding just how powerful he had actually become, actually only ever interfered when a threat great enough presented itself. That's just how souped up he is. He knows better to get involved with conflicts of a smaller scale because he knows just how much damage he is capable of doing. To me, that's like kind of some Dr. Manhattan vibes. Or well, partial Dr. Manhattan vibes. I feel like Dr. Manhattan also sometimes just gets involved in stuff because he's like, what would happen if I just did that? Interesting. I like it. Or he's like, interesting. I hate it. I'm gonna go to space and just let you guys do your thing now. Bye. Number 2. Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch has literally used her powers to change all of reality, warping it so that we got the reality belonging to House of M. But beyond that, she's also lately seen some redemption in comics when she helped the mutants to access backups of those previously lost to them so that they could resurrect those mutants. This all happened in Trial of Magneto, where it was revealed that Wanda could basically open the door to those mutants and their minds thanks to her connection to them and their psyches because of House of M and M-Day. She goes through a little waiting room and she's like, here's everyone. Sweet. Hard for her to get there though because she's got a lot of trauma. Which I think is not only a super cool idea and super cool story, but it also makes Wanda pretty important and powerful overall. Considering without her, we actually wouldn't get to have all the mutants that we lost prior to mind backups being a thing with Cerebro. Because we didn't have backups. We were like, we don't got those. They're not on file. These people are lost forever. But only because we have Wanda do we get those back. Pretty sweet. Number 1. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is literally just coming off of being an all-powerful, all-seeing god pre-future state, where she got a glimpse into a version of the future. Enter future state. A future that we were told was going to happen in main continuity, but now it's not really happening because Dark Crisis is what's happening. You dig? Wonder Woman gave up her life to save the universe and all realities, and as a result kind of became a cosmic godlike entity. Of course, that was only for a time in her life, or I guess her afterlife. She's now back to the living world and will be returning to her regular but super powerful superhero self. Or she might possibly be the Amazon to die in Trial of the Amazons, where one important Amazon will be lost to us, although it seems more likely that she'll just be dying as part of Dark Crisis, because that's also supposed to happen. Otherwise, it might be one too many deaths for Diana to have happened so recently. I feel like 3 deaths in recent comics maybe is a little much. 2 deaths, however, 2 deaths where one of them you became like an all-powerful, like god-like being, that I can take. I'll accept that. I guess she didn't really die, she just kind of like transcended, but it's kind of a form of death. Who are some of the most powerful superheroes in your mind? What do you think makes a superhero beyond overpowered? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.